Good morning, everyone. Microphone check, screen check. Looks like everything's working correctly here. Sorry, give me 1 second. Alright, sorry about that. Alright, welcome. Looks like everything's working correctly here. Yeah. Alright. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. SSFTG family. Hopefully you're all rested, relaxed, refreshed, ready to rock and roll. Maybe not so much relaxed, I guess, but it just kind of goes with it, you know? Hopefully you've all been able to get rested up and all that fun stuff. As per the usual, make sure to read through the morning prep PDF on the right side of the screen there. Very important to understand everything that is inside of that. Just a quick note for you all before we jump on in today as well. If you're watching the YouTube side of things, the stream does have between a 5 and 30 second delay, which will definitely impact the timeliness of what I may be talking about at any given moment. All right. And then I wanted to try to shorten up the morning a little bit and refine it. One thing that I do not want to forget about, though, is I do want to take a second, just like we do every day, to thank all of our new members, subscribers, Academy students, VIPs, everyone in between. Thank you all so much for the support. I'm super excited to have you all on board. Welcome to the SSFTG family. If you aren't a member yet, there are a lot of different options available to you. You can check those out right on YouTube, right on SSFTG's website, in a lot of different places. I just want to shorten up the morning side of things, though, so we can get into more of the fun stuff. I think it's pretty straightforward where to go if you need some info anyway. So whether you're here for the very first time or you're a VIP vet over on the dedicated stream, welcome. I'm glad to have you trading alongside of me today, analyzing these crazy markets. How's that? Nice, short, straight and to the point. All right. Looking at the first thing out of the gates, of course, the morning DP levels. Don't forget to grab those. The morning DP levels are posted for you this morning on the major 7. Of course, those are the NASDAQ, S&P, Gold, Crude, Euro, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. It's a race every time. As far as the news is concerned, we really don't have a whole lot starting out of the gates until 10 o'clock. Once we hit 10 o'clock, then we've got some news that kind of kicks things off a little bit. That's going to be the new home sales forecasted at 700,000. As far as the new home sales go in anything else, I mean, the only other news announcement that we really have to worry about is going to be later at 16:30, like way later this afternoon, and that's going to be the API. It is Tuesday. That's it. So pretty straightforward. Yesterday, jeez, oh Pete, man, where do we even begin? What a wow, perfect spot for that one in there. Looking at the S&P, we had a beautiful rally off of the lows, and that reversal off of the lows came off of 3 very obvious drives to the downside. The third one being a little bit shorter, and with that third one being a bit shorter, when they tried to get it going again, they failed. And if you kind of put that into context, it sort of makes sense. Like, oh, well, okay, yeah, they tried getting it going, they were disappointed, so when it went further up than they were expecting, when it came back, they got out. So these higher lows contextually make a lot of sense. Could we have expected that it would have procured this? Not really. In fact, yesterday we were talking about how these higher low type head and shoulders, which we did end up getting, by the way, typically don't allow very much upward momentum once they break the neckline. The thing is, they didn't break the neckline until way up here. So, I mean, you know, technically, if buyers were buying the break of the neckline with stops way down at the lows, we're hovering right around those scalpers' objectives, which is exactly what they would be. It's just one of those crazy instances where this thing just went straight to the moon. Now, once we did break above that, that's unbelievable. I'm kind of curious. Once they broke above, I'm just going to take the straight break. Let's put their stops under the lows. And scalpers are going to go for a 0.5 to 1. I mean, come on, really? Like, you can't... You just can't make this stuff up, you know? I mean... I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences. I don't know how many times we have to say it. There's a reason that we say it over and over as well. we're hitting these major scalper objectives, and that's because this was a lopsided head and shoulders with a terrible break point, but it still worked. If the market does continue to go further up, the next objective would be based off of the larger stops, which is underneath the base. Doesn't offer up a huge amount of distance to the upside, but it does get it up to 4,500. That's a nice psychological stopping point for the market to kind of peel off of again. So it kind of sort of makes sense in the way that this is sort of hovering around here. It may not be doing it in the prettiest of fashions, but I mean, hey, it's following the rules, right? So it is what it is. You got to take what the market gives us. This initial rally up could very easily be leg 1, wave 2. Very nice continuation up into a strong wave 3, which means that we haven't even seen, potentially, wave 4 or wave 5. There's still a lot of potential upward momentum here for this market to continue on its way to keep this thing peeling on up. But, you know, here again, we got to look back and say, well, how did wave 2 look? That's usually a good heads up as to how wave 4 will look. Well, you know, wave 2 was kind of sloppy. They had a little higher low and then a lower high and then a little wedge that formed after that and a breakdown to a new low. But were there really a lot of traps inside of here? And that's what I mean by sloppy. First off, I want to see, is it a parabolic move? No, it's not. So that's kind of a knock against it a little bit. There weren't any other traps, but I mean, realistically, this isn't the cleanest of legs, which means that wave 4 could be quick. So a sharp little pullback, likely to where that previous volume was. Remember we were looking at them yesterday? Was it there or there? Hang on. Oh, they've actually changed the POC already. Well, the original volume cluster was right down here. I was going to say if they could get a little flush right down to that POC, that would still be valid for the Elliott wave cycle to the upside. Lots of potential. And assuming that wave 4 is going to be sharp, well, it might not stick around for very long either. Looking at gold, switching gears over to the gold market with it continuing back up. I mean, this is expected, right? It's kind of fitting the bill. The one thing that I wasn't necessarily expecting was the Bob the Builder erect to set build-a-wall here that they put in there. Holy crap. That's probably one of the most obvious walls I've seen in a long time since, you know, like a crypto type trade or you know, a stock on a 1-second chart. That's crazy how much support was built in at 1808. I mean, you know, we've got to ask ourselves, with this initial drive to the downside, and that first pulse, oh, that's right, my data's messed up. Still messed up, really? There we go. Is there anything there that could be suggesting why the market would be rejecting that? And if we look back, the previous impulse POC was at 14.4. There was a lot of volume that built up underneath that 14.4, and you'll notice what's right in the middle of that, huh? Are you catching what I'm putting down here? So effectively, this tells me that we had a lot of buyers who were buying at 14.4. They bought more when it dipped down, not necessarily enough to go double down, but then the market just absolutely ripped their face off. Now, if they were able to sustain through that loss, it actually made it back to a break-even point. Normally, that tiny of a break-even point, I mean, who cares? Well, I mean, you tell me. Seemed like a lot of people cared. That's a crazy amount of resistance up there. Now, whether or not it's happening in the overnight and all that fun stuff, it still happened over a period of several hours. I mean, that's nuts. They are working their way through it. Something to consider. I mean, that's crazy. If those are break-evens and it's still going back up, lordy, lordy, lordy. Over on crude oil, crude oil's got a very strong rotation off of the lows now. There's no messing around still, and this is what we really needed to see. Remember a little while ago, how's it going, Ace? That we were talking about how in order for crude to really kind of, prove itself, we've got to see that gusto, We really got to see the thing hammer the gas pedal, and that's what we were really missing. Well, we're not missing that anymore. After Sunday into Monday's rally and now going into Tuesday, I think it's fair to say that we've gotten enough proof. Now, from the big perspective, have we gotten enough proof? No, that would be like way the heck up here. But I mean, really, this doesn't come without at least some follow-through, usually, or at least a fight. Next pullbacks are likely to find buyer support. And typically, if we're watching this area, we want to see where sellers are giving it a shot. We want to see the sellers give it a valid attempt or see if they fail. So far, it's looking like they failed, and their POC is right back at where settlement was. So you can see that wedge at the end of the day yesterday kind of closed out, and that's where they settled. So a pullback down to that area, 65-60s in that zone, will be a really nice zone of interest to see if they can get a dip. This is, it's an incredibly obvious spike in channel. That's probably one of the most obvious things I've ever seen. The most obvious pullback for a spike in channel is, again, to retest the starting point of the channel. That would be right back at the POC. Everything lines up, It's basically perfect in that sense. So, we'll have to wait and see where they're going, but the thing that does stand out is we've got 1, 2, and then 3 very obvious builds to the upside, and if these are shorts, they are devastatingly stuck in a really bad way. Now, does that mean that this is going to have another short squeeze back up to 70? It definitely could. It's possible. Look at this thing. It's just a freight train straight back to the upside. We're blowing through POCs like they're nothing, and if this POC is the midpoint of this rally, if this does want to really hit the gas pedal, that puts price targets at 69.86. So yeah, it could definitely make it back up to 70. Now, the one thing that we really want to keep in mind as far as an Elliott wave structure goes is typically on wave one is coming out of a previous trend, right? So it's the first reversal point. It's very difficult to pick up on, and there's a lot of, in this case, the previous trend is short, so there's a lot of short interest trying to hold this market down and keep it going lower with the trend. Well, we've broken above that. So, that creates some problems. It doesn't mean that the sellers can't take this all the way back down. Realistically, we know that the best reversals take place off of at least an L3, preferably an L4, L5. Well, that doesn't happen until way down here. Something to consider as well. If this is wave one, this could be a monster of a wave one that they're looking to chain over this large swing. There's a lot of squeeze potential here. Crude could go crazy. Great, just what we need. Expensive gas. We're going in towards the end of the year, though. They're going to have a tough time with that. Well, I don't know, maybe. The world shuts down again, and who knows? I'm not even going to get into that speculation game. We've got the euro, which is kind of up on the list, also reversing off of the base. The big thing that really stands out here is how obviously the bulls got just smashed apart up there. Just brutal. That was the reversal point, right? The buyers had that really impressive bull leg to the upside, every reason in the planet to believe that they're going to try going higher, and they miserably failed. And when they miserably failed, they even created a downside swing gap. That downside swing gap would be from the top to the bottom. The swing gap completion was right there. So plenty of support coming in off of that swing gap completion, and now we've reversed back to the upside. We're kind of filling in that gap. This is the proof. Do the sellers want to try to get this to go back down? Are the bulls taking it? Is this a giant wave one like we saw on crude? What's going on here? This is going to be where we can really figure out what is the market really anticipating. And one of the easiest ways is just look at volume. From the top to the bottom, because they did make a new base, we have a bottom-weighted POC, which is hovering right around here. Makes a lot of sense. Bulls trying to buy that dip. Really, really low risk. Very incredibly high reward. Who could blame them? Didn't work. What a shock, right? Low risk, high reward didn't work. Now, when it broke back down, we did have a lot of opportunities for those buyers to get out. But with this reversal down, this was kind of the shorts attempt. This is their area where they were trying to continue that trend and keep it going. And now we failed back above it. That could be some problems. Let's continue the volume a little further forward here and see if it paints a better picture. Nothing's changed. And in fact, you can even see where you can kind of see where the alligator's mouth slammed shut. That was the last shot. The shorts, if the shorts were short, that was the last shot that they had to get out of their shorts before their fingers got chopped off. Now they're just hoping. So this is looking still incredibly strong for another bull rally to the upside. From a structure standpoint, there's not really a whole lot to work with, I guess. I would really prefer to see an L3 or an L4. Martin! I like the energy. We've got the continuation to the upside. The one big thing that the euro does have is this reversal above the previous swing. That's what we are sorely missing on the crude oil. Sorry, brain fart. So with this reversal back to the upside, I mean, they've got what they need. This could just be wave 1, wave 2, little bitty wave 2. Huge wave 3, possibly. You know, I mean, I can't discount it. We're talking the euro. This thing is, I know, what a contradictory statement. We're talking the euro. We were just saying, what, for like, go back a month, and I think I ended one of my euros with, all right, and the euro, and I'm not wasting my time, and I think I closed the chart. To all of a sudden this, where this thing is just ripsawing all over the place. This is definitely a swing trader's market, buying low, selling high, staying the heck out of the middle, but, I mean, geez. This has got some serious potential if the bulls want to take it. The big swing is up here. That has not been broken. This is just a short-term reversal. Keep that in mind. Over on Bitcoin, all the news is saying it's over 50,000. It's over 50,000. Yay! We're going to the moon. Remember, I'm not believing that yet. I do believe that there will be a short-term rally, and 50,000 is a very, very obvious objective. It makes a lot of sense. Psychological, all that fun stuff. I still don't see all-time highs happening. This seems like a really, really nice way for earlier longs who are thinking in a similar mindset to me, who want to exit a lot of their earlier longs with profitability. It makes a lot of sense to be selling into these pops with the assumption that there's going to be a larger correction. Again, never exiting everything, because this is just like stocks, right? If you're looking to build in, you don't exit everything. You buy more on the dip as long as the fundamentals are good and, you know, it's risk capital, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You get the idea. The same thing goes here. The problem is, you know, one Bitcoin, $49,000. Now, there's a lot of other alternative coins that we've talked about extensively. One that we've talked about for years now, ADA, which I think is finally coming to fruition. If you go back, you know, 2-3 years when it was in the when it was way down there. Remember when it first launched? What were we trading at? It was like 30 cents or was it 14 cents? I don't even remember. It was so long ago. Anyway, there was a brief period where it ranged out in the 60s and 70-cent range. We were talking about the incredible potentials of ADA in the long term and how it's one of the only ones that's backed by, you know, science. Whoa, peer-reviewed and all that fun stuff. That definitely caught my attention, but now it's really taking off. What was it last? At like the $3 point? We're seeing those types of alternative currencies really creeping up. And we're not seeing, interestingly, fluctuations in Bitcoin that much. Now, normally, people are trading their Bitcoin for those alternative currencies. If that were the case, then you would expect to see Bitcoin go down and ADA increase, especially with big pumps in what am I thinking? Social media and all that fun stuff. But we're not necessarily seeing that. So that's interesting because that does add a good chunk of support to the further consideration that we may still be looking for that rally up towards the 58 to 59,000 mark. We haven't seen the proof that the sellers are taking over yet, and the bulls are still maintaining good strength. Just, you know, be careful. is all I'm saying. Same goes for Ethereum, although, geez, oh Pete, this is probably one of the strictest of ranges that I've seen. I can't even, it won't even let me draw it at that angle. Let me try this. There we go. We've got the upward channel kind of working its way higher. I know it's not drawn correctly. It won't let me. We've got this back and forth support that's kind of chopping around. Where are we now? We're back up towards the highs. It's not a very likely area to be a buyer up here. If it does break out, then we'll probably squeeze a bit further. It is Ethereum after all. We'll see. Jumping over to the NASDAQ and taking a look at the daily here. Now, on the daily perspective, we did have... Hang on. Let me get back in here. On the daily perspective, we've got a continuation back up. The POC was broken. Everything became very obvious at that point. Man, did they follow through. Incredibly massive new highs. And with those massive new highs rallying back to the upside, we've got candle gapping as well. That creates a major consideration to the upside that the market's going to be looking for upside targets at around the 15,462s. So that's going to be the upside objective for this candle gapping on the daily. That's still a lot of upside potential coming along the way, and we're breaking above a POC, which, again, could cause some serious limit. What were we looking at, like 18,000 yesterday or something like that? There's a lot of potential. It's gone through every objective that we've talked about so far going into this year. So, I mean, this thing just keeps on going, and with that parabolic momentum, it makes a lot of sense. Either way, we are back up to new highs, and we've got some serious bull bars going on here. Good continuation and likely to keep on going. Over on the 15-minute, we can also see that we are dipping back to a POC zone of interest on the fifth wave here. The fifth wave, by the way, yesterday rallied up to 200%. A full 200% deviation all the way up. 15,320 was the POC of that entire move up, which is incredible, considering that that's all the time they really spent there. Keep that in mind. There is a significant amount of short interest that was trying to get something going there, and they are being given a chance to get out at break even on this dip. This dip is what we were talking about waiting for all yesterday. All of the whole freaking day. Right? All day yesterday, waiting for this pullback. Right? Waiting for the dip, finally pulling back. If we're looking back, we had the original L4, then the next rotation back up, L1, L2. I wasn't expecting the L2, so I took targets at a 2-to-1. What an idiot. We've got continuation to the upside after that L2. It's pretty obvious that any pullback now is going to be of interest. They get anywhere near... They sniffed the same air as the L1, and that thing went screaming to the upside. Just gone. Now that we've ripped back to the upside, they finally pulled back into a zone of interest with an ABCD corrective phase back down. This makes a lot of sense for bulls to be trying to defend this as a major pullback. It's the first time. So this whole morning, the whole thing is going to be a major L1 pullback. I would still love the L2. Going long on the ES. I like it. Yep. Close to the open. Yeah, I mean, there's two mindsets when you get close to the open. You either tighten the stops and take the risk off the table, basically, which does drop your probability, obviously. Or you widen your risk and accept the risk, which these days that can be a heavy price. So I think you know where my opinion's a little closer on, unless you're able to build in or something, maybe a different story, I don't know. The open scares the crap out of me. Great opportunities, though. From a POC perspective, 15,375 had a heck of a lot of volume. Yeesh. I don't really need all of these other lines, thanks. Kind of dirty how they held that. Keeping an eye on where these traders may be targeting still. Rare that you get an L1 that offers up a 3-to-1. You don't get that very frequently. Oh man, Steven, I gotta... I love that term, the pick your pocket swing low. That's gotta have an acronym. That's a PYP swing right there. I like it because it pips you out, right? For those of you who are Forex traders. It's not the same spelling, but... Oh, baby, I like that. Can I use that? Can that be a thing? I love it. Bulls are getting a small little baby bull flag going on right into the open. Awesome. We can officially say it pipped you out. Or don't get pipped out. I like that a lot more. $9.28 is going to be the next pocket. That's going to be the next zone of interest. Bulls are trying to cycle back up. There's been no POC shift yet. I was going to say, did I draw it all the way across? This volume thing's huge. They congested up there for a long time. And just so I have it on there, I want to see from the... Let's go from that low all the way. I mean, we already know they came back and retested it, but that's more likely going to be the zone of interest, huh? Oops. Hey, welcome, welcome. Trading from out, that's out. Yeah, exactly. Summer's just like age. It only ends when you want it to, you know? Just like childhood. It only ends when you say it does. Well, unless you live in a place where it snows, then Mother Nature will just let you know. And then in that case, don't remind me. Ugh. $9.28 hits. Doesn't really create a whole lot of volatility. Looking at the S&P around the corner as well. Where the heck is this thing trading? There it is. We're still technically inside gap. Man, they're going to be opening up right on top of that high, though. They got a minute left. That's a pretty wild spot for this thing to be hanging out. Market open right around the corner. We have 20 seconds left, just so... Was it this high? This little bitty one right here that we're trying to hold on to? Jeez, that puts it into perspective, doesn't it? Where's the real L1? 15,276. Nice quick little snap back down towards that POC. A lot of buyers may be buying into that dip, attempting to get into it. Remember, we're at the open. Volatility is going to be a weird one. More bull bar continue. I didn't get filled above that bull bar. Are you kidding? Like, for real? Okay. I was going to say more bull bar continuation to the upside above that high with that really nice bull, and I couldn't get a fill. It ran away way too fast. Well, there's the finish of the 3-to-1 objective for the POC traders who were buying that previous dip. Ugh. Starting off the day with a no fill. All right. We got a good mountain to climb. That means we've got some challenges. Bulls attempting to get a little bit of a continuation going here. We are hitting those 3-to-1 objectives, so realistically a lot of buyers will be exiting with those targets. Shorts are stuck from the exact same spot down here, 333.25, if they were trying to short, which would make sense. Nice little flashback down towards the POC retest. This is the opportunity for bulls to get that last ditch. But remember, there are some open objectives down here as well. So we've got to be a little bit cautious that this may try to take out some stops. We're at the open. You've got to be okay with the volatility that comes with the open. As far as the upside for me, the average would be right there. Still has some room to go. Ooh, geez, that backed off fast. Pop back up. We're hovering around that settlement point, just kind of herky-jerking around. I'm going to reduce just a little bit of risk into the pop here. I want to see a bit of proof, and given the fact that they're hovering underneath the POC, I've got to see a bit more proof. Remember, we're dealing with the open. Things are incredibly vindictive, but when they hit the gas pedal, it typically wants to get going. All right, I'll modify that one because I did exit the one with intention of reducing the risk. We've got follow through. The 3-to-1 objectives from actual risk from the last portion, at least, is at 346.25. Nice little break-even retest for bulls to reload on a secondary pop. Although the failure to continue is going to cause me to exit. It's not worth the follow-through risk. I needed that to be a break-even bounce and immediately bounce back up again. I need more proof now. Not to say that we can't get the bull bounce, but it's not playing ball very nicely yet, that's for sure. This is the follow-through of the bulls seeing what's going on, and they're realizing, okay, well, I want to be a buyer, but I don't have a reason to anymore. First bear bar on the S&P. Get the volume in here. $81.75 is the POC for that. And geez, look at that 5-minute bar on the NASDAQ now. Whoa. POC 2650. Could you explain why you exited where? Yeah. So the reason why I exited where I exited my initial intention, remember what the goal of this was, is for a continuation back to the upside, assuming that we're going to have a 5-wave structure. So when I'm buying into this, I want to see higher lows. And I'll buy into those higher lows, that's fine. And I'll buy a little bit more, assuming that we're going to get a higher low. But then, we didn't get a higher low. So when we failed to get the higher low, that told me I have to reduce risk. What's the best spot to reduce risk? Well, I'll exit at my original entry point, and to compensate for a little bit, I'll exit a couple of them. Now, when it starts backing off, and it starts showing me that it doesn't want to follow through, it doesn't make any sense okay, so first off, we've got that initial rally to the upside where it allowed me to reduce risk. And the second intention here was for a quick snap for a little wick at the base and a reversal back up, which is why I bought another one, right? It's worth adding that risk because you'll notice how small it is. That risk is teeny, teeny, tiny. Because if I'm right and it does work, the reward is like way up here. Which is what they're trying to do now. They still haven't shifted the POC. But that's why I exited where I did. There are logical points to reduce and still allow yourself to try to stay in the position that allow you the flexibility. But when that flexibility is taken away, you got to jump ship. This rally to the upside is starting to look like it may not come back. I'll take one as far as the risk is concerned. Now, given location, the location is pretty bad, so we've got to modify for upside objectives. Should be at around the 55 quarters. We've got the higher low. I'm looking to try to get that reversal point back going to the upside. We don't have the POC shift to the yet, but to the yet, you like that? But I really like this dip area to start a little bit of a better location. There we go. Uh, 2-to-1 is inside the swing still. Still has some room. Market's still just kind of hanging out. Modifies a bit further. Market's still developing a POC and fighting. Bulls are trying to get the rotation going to the upside. Whoops. There we go. I'm going to use this little pop here to reduce just a bit of risk. That also creates a scenario that is significantly more favorable. We're a little past the open yet, but we're still dealing with that open volatility, which can be incredibly vindictive. So I would rather still err on the side of caution. But upside objectives in terms of this area, at least. Near term 42.25 as far as actual risk goes, but I mean even a 3-to-1 fits. So there's plenty of room still. They still have not changed the POC off the 375s. Okay, that's a really, really nice bull bar back to the upside. Ugh, I was going to add risk and it pops so fast. Okay. We've got upside continuation. Further higher? Whatever. Words, something like that. This is the earlier entry point for that breakout above the highs, which is finding some resistance for a break even. I'm going to use this resistance off the L1 to reduce just a little bit. That creates an average that's really far down. It doesn't help me a whole lot as far as like a 3. Then I'd have to go way out here, which I'm still totally fine with. That target is ahead of 375. The flexibility is a lot better off this way. As far as the initial POC, I think I accidentally moved it. Hang on a second. I can't even see where the heck the stupid thing is. That's fine, NASDAQ. You just keep going. That's all good. Bulls have a very nice continuation drive to the upside. We are at those previous swing highs. Look at that 15-minute bar. Woo. I've only got the one, but I do really, really like this area. They still haven't shifted the POC. Yeah, it is drawn in the right place. You can see where they're trying to. Yeah, someone pumping a Red Bull. 10 o'clock news is around the corner. That's the next batch. I think a 2-to-1 is a bit more logical in the way that this is forming, but I'm also very happy with the way that 15-minute bar looks. Market pulling back a little bit. So far, everything's just kind of hovering. Could be shorts trying to jump ship. Could also be shorts thinking that this is an overextension and should come back on the daily. I mean, if you want to short against the daily that looks like that, of course. Bulls are still trying to get some continuation going here, but they're kind of choppy slopping around. Starting to get, oh man. I was gonna say, is it gonna get down into those low 30s? It did for a second. 34.75. Nice bull bar. Turns straight into a bear bar, though. All they managed to do is get, what, did they didn't even get a new low. They got a double bottom on those little candles. Ooh, now if shorts were looking to try to take that back, this pop back to the upside, lordy, lordy. Another bear bar back down after that bull bar, though. They want to trap the low. That double bottom wasn't good enough. I do like that for a potential increase in risk. Just a mild increase in risk because, again, that does do quite a bit of damage to my average. So I want to make sure that it still keeps me right around the same spot. My average is still underneath the POC at the top. It's favorable. It's a logical point of interest to add risk. Yeah, we're going Buffett this morning. We got that long-term investing. This is the nice thing about when the market does give you a chance to actually hold a runner, then you can try to hold a runner, right? You can kind of play around with it and modify with it and have some flexibility with it, but still messing around, still hovering, but not really doing much. The market is currently under the initial RTH POC, but has not closed under it, at least not yet. Ooh, they gonna get that trap low? Nice little opportunity here for buyers to try to pick it up. Again, the nice thing about this is that the risk is low, considerable to the reward. Yeah, I want to see where other traders may be opting to get in and get out and what they may be thinking. So by figuring out where that secondary portion is, where their averages may be, what they're trying to do, this gives me common objectives that a lot of traders may be clustering around, you know. Not to mention the fact that it's all happening at settlement, of course. There is that. We are seeing some responsiveness around where their break-evens may be. That's roughly where these magenta lines are here. Just eyeballing it, of course, but POC at 333. It has now shifted. Oh, they were able to close above that POC too. Okay. It's game time. 5 minutes and, well, 4 minutes until 10 o'clock. We do have news around the corner. Pushing back under the POC a little bit. just kidding. They were unable to close above, so I'm going to reduce the risk a little bit, just to keep an eye on things, to make sure that we're in the right place. Uh, 3 to 1. There we go. And this break back above, I'm going to add that risk right back on. I'm okay with that. This reversal back up and this pop back above the POC that's forming here is like the alligator's mouth shutting. They've got very little time. If the bulls are going to take this, they have very little time to get out of their shorts before this thing starts going bonkers. Totally worth re-upping the risk. I'll take that extra risk back off again. Nice little compensation for re-upping the risk. See if you can get more continuation, though, looking for those upside objectives. You have... Oh, yeah, I already got that one. Yep. Nice little snapback that's going on here for more continuation. The alligator's mouth shut. Let's see how many teeth they had or how many fingers they have left. Okay, nice little dip back again. I've already exited that risk, re-entered the risk, and capitalized on the re-addition of the risk. I don't really want to do it again. You know? Feels like you're dipping your hand too many times in that alligator's mouth. He's gonna snap it shut. Nice pulse back down to the POC. To the ticks so far. They're trying to hold above it. 333, still a big zone. All right, 10 o'clock news. That does also mean that's the end of the morning session. So feel free to get those last questions in, and we'll get those covered for you. I'll use this as an exit pop now that we've got the news. The news dropped lower, reverse back up to 33. I want to see if they can pop this back up with a bit more continuation. If they can close back above, if they can show some good support, if they can show that they really want to take this, then fine. But otherwise, it's not really worth the risk anymore. I tried. Man, did I try. Friggin' Warren Buffett over here, but 7 years later, the bull's still failing. They've got to get the gears shifting a bit better here. Now remember, the alligator's mouth, as we so love to call it, snaps shut fast. So it may look like it's totally game over, but all it takes is one quick chomp. I don't know if you could hear that. So going on to 10 o'clock, feel free to get those questions in, but I am definitely watching the NASDAQ. And keep in mind, because I had a little bit of a late start and I didn't get a chance to get all the links posted, I'm just going to keep this room going to save the hassle. That way we don't have to worry about it. We'll just keep this one going on YouTube. Gapping up a little bit, but churning. The reason I'm exiting here is because the market's beginning to churn back underneath all of those POCs. They're losing their ground. And they're losing their ground for me in the way that I wanted them to see it. Remember, I wanted those higher lows. Well, we didn't get the higher low. They broke down there. With that breakdown there, I've got to modify a little bit. Then we give a little more room. We get a nice reversal back up, but then that fails all the way back down again. They keep trying to get it going, and they keep failing. So I keep having to modify. More bullish continuation back to the upside. Didn't even get a fill. Now they're regaining their proof. Beautiful area for buyers to try to pick up on this. It's very high, though. So I will utilize that. And there's the other finalized objective. So I missed a little bit on the in-between there, but we got the follow-through, I guess. Ugh. You vindictive SOB. I still do really like this for a bit more follow-through, but we are hitting these targets, and we've got to be cognizant of those. The next objectives aren't too much further up at the 55.75s. Then it's an open door. We've got a little bit of space. Well, I'll go to the volume at 375. I don't know that I'd go past that. See if the bulls want to get a little bit more continuation to the upside. Yeah, big range. It's just churning back and forth and back and forth. The problem for me is that within that churn, it just created a situation where my averages were in a funky spot. And when I added for additional risk when it made sense to, then it put me again in a funky spot, and it just, ugh. Yeah, it is what it is. But I do like this breakaway move for a larger continuation. They are shifting the POC off the top at 333. Wait, did my question get through on the ES? Oh, I might have missed it. Now that price close above the settlement on the ES and the POC is above it as well, what was your thinking? Or what is your thinking, sorry. As far as the S&P is concerned, sorry, thanks for reminding me. Sometimes I just jump over them. We've got that POC, which is holding here, an initially strong bear bar, bull bar reversal, but hovering underneath it, then closing above, upside candle gapping. You're like, okay, well, wait a minute. What's going on here? The next candle dips down, holds support, closes back up. Strong bear bar ends up being a trap, right? So a lot of the shorts who were trying to get in, they just got out. And a lot of the longs who were looking for a way to get back in, they just got back in. I think that's what we're seeing right now as far as the continuation goes. Now, as long as it stays above this 82.50, that's going to be the hard spot. They've got the 5-minute POC at 81.75. It's all right inside there. Give or take, you know. Nice little dip for bulls to re-up on a continuation leg. Doesn't really offer up a... get these get these other ones off here. I gotta say, I don't like how that 2-to-1 doesn't fit inside there. It's a bummer for my entry, but I don't like how that 2-to-1 doesn't fit inside the volume node at 375. I've got to see if I can get a better average, or it's just going to go. But that 2-to-1 is... I would rather track it like this. That's still above it. Man, that doesn't give him much. Bulls retesting this balance zone from the earlier attempted shorts, trying to go down and longs getting in and all that fun stuff. We're also retesting the L1. I didn't get a fill down there. Crap. Tried to grab an extra one for a pulse on a scalp. I would be exiting one right now for that pulse on the scalp, but didn't get it. Looking for a continuation a bit further. Makes sense for this upside move towards... I mean, at least the 50s. No? Come on, jump up and fill it. Jeez. Scalping out of the last portion. What is today? Tuesday? I don't even know what day it is anymore. Bulls getting a bit more follow-through transition. I really do not like those types of back-to-back bull bars that form like that, with this big bull bar, inside bull bar. Though every time I try to buy those stupid things, they bite me. And it never fails. Which means I'm going to skip this one, and of course this is the one that's going to work, right? That's good old Murphy. Long-term POC is shifting. That's off that 333. More continuation to the upside. Nice zones. Just not offering up the ability to get more than one. Or they spend an eternity there. That's fun too. You know what would look really nice right now, honestly? Would be a trap underneath this low down to retest these 333s. Or around there. Doesn't have to happen, but that'd be a really nice zone. And I'm curious, too. This would be a really good learning example, just to show you how traders math works, because it's only Tuesday. We don't have that many trades. So looking at how all of this back and forth goes, if you look at the overall on how that played out in traders math, just so you can see for today, always keeping in mind where your averages are and making sure that you're in the right place and making sure that you're trading it appropriately. I just had a scalp, so that's going to mess with the numbers, but you can see the math still lines up. The trader's math lines up. So even inside of all of this, you can still ensure that you're on the right side of things. It would be nice to see the winning trade side be a lot higher, but again, we know why it wasn't. So there's nothing I can do about that. That's why I'm always measuring my risk constantly. Remeasuring, measuring, remeasuring, measuring, remeasuring. Where's their risk? How's this risk? What's this risk? Is it worth this risk? Very important. Glad that math turned out. That could have made me look like an idiot when I was talking about that. Traders math has awful traders math. Whoops. Just kidding. Yay. I followed my plan. See if we can get a little bit more of a pullback here. The 15,333s are going to be the zone of interest. Or at least down there. Looking across the pitch, if you will, Ethereum and Bitcoin getting clubbed right now. Nice bearish momentum dropping back down. Ethereum especially. That resistance at 3350s is nasty. Everything else is kind of hovering. Market's hovering around that zone of interest. Watching this pullback. This is breaking above major swings. This is breaking everything they need to break above. This is like the green light. I'll find it eventually. Now, looking at the bottom, we've got an L5 reversal off of the lows. Typically, L5s are going to be L2s. Make more sense to see it a little bit further down towards 4650. Doesn't have to be an L2 right this second, though. Ooh, I like those fib numbers, Ace. 377. Yep. My math sense is tingling. 5-minute S&P has turned straight into barbed wire. What a mess. Lower high transition off the top. I mean, the bulls either hold this L1 really aggressively, or we slide down to like high 40s, really. So they may have a shot in the 50s with these perpetual higher lows. You can kind of see the wedge that's forming here. A false break low to go back with the overall trend. It'd fit. I just don't know that it'll make it down to an L2. It usually does, but yeah, I tried getting that little dip down there. I thought it was lower than it really was, though. I'd like to see it pulse a bit further. There's the L2 bounce. They got it to the tick, too. More continuation to the upside with upside objectives on this false wedge break. I was only able to get one, so if it does rally away from here, back up towards the highs would be the favorable location. I wasn't even able to get it at L2. Retesting the wedge. Finding some resistance there, but resistance is futile. Maybe. Never say never in the markets. The grander context would suggest, though, that we are able to break through this. I'll reduce on that. It's around a 2-to-1. This objective, just keep in mind, is a 3-to-1. So we're hovering around a 2.5-to-1. And we're getting really poppy around the top of the L1. I would rather just accept the fact that I was only able to get one and take a target. We're getting closer to the end of the day. It's not worth it. This market's so effing frustrating right now. Why? What's up? Do you need help, or are you just venting? That's fine, too. I get it. I mean, trust. I get it. I tried building into a long the whole frickin' morning just to see it go without me. I had to pick up the scraps along the way. But if there's something you want me to analyze or help you out with, let me know. Keep in mind, from a mental perspective, if you find that you are on tilt, it's always better to take a break and not put risk on the table. If you're on tilt and you put risk on the table, your account's going to go on tilt too. It's just not worth it. So they did get the L2 continuation to the upside. My fill was a bit ahead of the L2. Thankfully, I got anything, I guess. Jeez. Nice continuation back to the upside with their targets at the high. Had a little bit of trouble through the wedge, but they hovered through the 2-to-1, now breaking into the 3. Almost 3-to-1s would be back to the top, close. There's not really any other news to worry about until later this afternoon. They retested the high closes, that horizontal black line there, but they couldn't break a new high yet. Still hovering. Market's still going pretty strong. 375s is the POC above the top, and that's where likely a lot of either one of two things, really. That's going to be potentially a short-term top that lasts for a while, or it just rifles through it like it didn't even exist. Either way, 15,375 is that big previous POC. Got some mighty fine examples of those pip stops, huh? Got a nice little boop. Take them out. Oh, nasty. I love it. I love it and I don't love it. $10.30 around the corner. Looking at the S&P, we are breaking above the POC. Let me make sure that nothing's changed, though. Nope, hasn't changed. 44.84. Still closing above and now breaking away with candle gaps to the upside. Yikes! Oh man! I would like to formally apologize to all S&P traders today. Golly gee willikers. I hope you bought the low, because there's nothing in the middle. Unless you're scalping. If you're scalping inside here, you might be having a heyday, but yikes. That's brutal. It's that overnight again. Those overnight traders, they were the ones that had all the fun. I mean, we know what's going on, right? It's this 15,320 area. It's the POC pullback. The double bottom, it's everything. It's the whole reason why you've been wanting to go long all morning. Zero reason to go short, that's for sure. At the very least, just don't go short and you'll be all right. Market made a higher close, but not a new high. That's gross. Okay. Let's see if they can finish the job, I guess. Very nice bull bar on the S&P to keep things going. If it does pull back, a lot of buyers probably hovering around the 84 halves. Trying to buy any low they can. Just be careful of it dive bombing. There is still potential for that larger pullback. And the day is young. Looks like nothing has happened compared to yesterday. All right, they do end up making a new high, finally. Nice L2 continuation. And we are going into 10:30 as well, right around the corner, so feel free to get those questions in, and we'll start getting those covered for you. And just a heads up, tomorrow is my... Okay, so it's my son's first day of school and my daughter's school orientation. So tomorrow, there may be a room, there may not. It really depends on the schedule. There's a lot going on this week. So just as a heads up, tomorrow is kind of tentative, if you will. I'm sure a lot of parents out there understand, or maybe have already gone through it. But this is our back-to-school week. Yay! Nice little snapback here on the S&P. Now remember, buyers may be buying into this pullback. It's a little too late in the day, and it's been... I don't really want to give anything back. I don't really want to take the risk. But a nice little dip here would make sense. Yeah, I mean, my son's already been in school, so it's nothing new for him. He's just excited to see his friends again. But it's my daughter's first, kindergarten, first day of all-time school. She's so pumped. Oh, yeah, I totally agree with you. When the market... You mean when the market has two sides to it? Yeah, I totally agree. It's a heck of a lot easier. You know, days like yesterday, you're doing one... Well, if you were lucky enough to get in early and have enough contracts to just hold through the run, then you're just sitting there doing nothing, watching it go up and up and up and up and up. Or you're short fighting it the whole way and getting annihilated. Or you're trying to chase it and probably buying the top after it's broken out and taking small stops when it pulls back, like a trend should. That's the type of day yesterday is. It's no holds bar, punch your teeth out, vicious. It looks really nice, but it's really not. It takes a lot to just sit there and watch it happen. Like, it hurts every fiber of your being not being in it, but if there's no logical way in, then... There's no logical way in, and if you fight against that, you're going to have a bad time. Hopefully it wasn't too bad. But I totally agree. When the market actually has like some two-sided action to it, way better. That could be PD, you know? I mean, just buy and hold to the end of the day. From a probability standpoint, we're not sitting on any probability. Right, we don't have any probability one way or the other. We're sitting directly on top of settlement. All the probability is under and above. We don't have anything to work with. Obviously, the trend would tell me that I'd rather be a buyer on the lows. So, you know, half DP, 1 DP. Maybe not the 1 DP. The 1 DP doesn't line up with anything. 1.5 does. So, like the half DP at the bottom of the range. Nice little zone. The -1.5. The -2, oh baby. tasty. I don't know if it'll hit that today, but... Yeah, I did. Thanks for posting those too. I appreciate it. I've got to take a little more time to read through them. This week's tough to have any time to do anything, so I saved them in my desktop. But it makes, from what I did read, it makes a lot of sense. You know, when you actually, it's one of those things when you think about it. Yeah, I guess. Like, oh yeah. Which is really frustrating in hindsight, but. My daughter had her first soccer game last week. They got butchered. Fuck shit. I'm sorry. Well, hey, I mean, it's a lesson in reality, you know. I mean, congrats on her first soccer game, by the way. Great sport, keeps them nice and active. But you know, when they're young, well, I don't know how young, but depending on how young, expectations aren't necessarily super high. Their expectations are high, though. I don't know how competitive your kids are, but man alive, my kids are competitive. Whoo! And then they start going back and forth. Sibling rivalry on top of just being competitive by nature. Oh, man. For me, those usually end up being lessons on teaching my kids how to lose gracefully. They haven't quite accomplished that one yet. They're getting there. They're very passionate about their games. Expectations higher than performance is a 100% accuracy. It's like, you know, I remember back when I was a kid, you know, pretending to be a ninja in the backyard with a stick. Like, yeah, baby, you know, I'm wicked cool. I've got this down. In my head, I was the coolest thing on the planet. From the outside, you know, I'm like smashing my shins into stuff. I'm banging myself around, like, but, you know, I guess as long as they're having fun at that age, it's good learning experiences, good teaching opportunities. Because their emotions will run hot. All right, well. Yep, exactly. 100%. I'm with you. I think we are targeting those major upside objectives. I can't believe we hit it 200%. But that POC breakout before this one formed, we've already kind of broken through. And those upside objectives, I mean, what were they reaching out to? 15,000, 500s? 800s? They still have there's a lot to go, especially with this major POC hold above the 320s. That's crazy. Anyway. All right, that's going to do it. Hopefully everyone had a great day of trading. As always, if I missed any questions, you can shoot me an email. I'll get those covered for you from there, jhb@ssftg.com. If you have any comments on the YouTube side, you can always put those in the comments section as well. One way or another, though, get a hold of those. Oh, I did have a question, actually. Hang on. Was talking about the YouTube community page and how to get to it. The YouTube community page, if you're a member, youtube.com/ is it community? No, hang on, it's /future/ community. Yeah, that's what it is. So you go to come here. This doesn't show anything, right? No, okay. It shows. I mean, it'll show the latest members post, I guess. Well, I won't give it away. But anyway, you go to youtube.com/slingshotfutures/community. And you can also just click the community link. But that's how you get to the communities page. And inside the communities page, that's where you're going to find all the latest stuff, like the latest post. I'll talk about, I posted that an hour ago, for members only. So for SSFTG supporters on YouTube, you'll have access to this, and you'll see, like, Roku. It's primarily stocks and long-term setups, so, but it's there. That's how you get to it. That link right there. I'll post that in Discord for you. Don't need the embedded though. There you go. All right, anyway, that's going to do it. I got that taken care of now. So, like I said, if you have any questions, you know where to get a hold of me. Otherwise, though, enjoy the rest of the day. I hope you had a fantastic day. Rest up. Be careful for the rest of it. We do have API later this afternoon for crude. We'll see what that has in store. Otherwise, we will see you all tomorrow morning, right? Have a good one. We'll talk to y'all later. Thanks. Bye.